Land back. How's everyone doing today? First and foremost, land back. I want to see it in the comments. Land back. Build Hammer City. Yes, that too. I want to see it all. I do want to see that you guys are sharing and liking, inviting all your friends, inviting your family members, inviting everyone. Land back. This is the Hammer City live event. Land back. Yes, you guys hear me. Good. Now I know. Now I see it. So we are going to be introducing the Liberators of the land Liberators of Hammer City. We are the leading committee in making all the decisions and in making Hammer City a reality. So I'm Chief B. I'm Chief of Staff for the Agitprop Committee, which is over political education and cultural command, the Black Hammer Social Media Committee, and the Black Hammer Times Committee. I'm under the leadership of Chief Diva, who is the Chief of Agitprop. Shout out to Chief Diva, of course. I'm of the indigenous Quechua people, colonized nation of Peru. They're in the Andes. And until my people are free, personally, I'm gonna keep fighting. And I've really found that Hammer City, Black Hammer organization, and all my comrades have given me the tools and the strength to really do that. So yeah, I want to get started by really going over some of the historical context for what Black Hammer is. And I really want to start with 4 principles of unity, which are essential. Oh my gosh. Hold on.
Dang, someone's playing the drums, bro. It's all good though. Chief B's gonna be right back.
Sorry, y'all. But as I was saying, the 4 principles of unity are literally iconic, and they're the platform that's like bringing about this new like unity and solidarity between colonized people. And as we are literally watching in front of us, the end of the American Empire is literally right in front of us. Donald Trump is like calling for delay of the election, the banning of TikTok, and Donald Trump isn't even the beginning of this. You know, Obama set all the precedents for doing this. And we're watching the economy collapse. We're watching the pandemic take over. We're watching as anti-imperialist nations are starting to fight back because they see the weakness as well. And so Black Hammer's 4 principles of unity are really the platform that's going to bring about that new phase in our lives. And Hammer City is that manual for liberating the world from US imperialism. And it's a material response that is accumulated and transformed from like the many people who came before us. And we've always really drawn and studied the mistakes and wins from past struggles. And this is including, but like in no way are we limited to it, but this is the legacy that I really like to follow and that I see. And and we're dialectical materialists, where we understand that everything is connected to everything and everything involves everything and everything moves with everything. Everything's constantly moving. But the legacy that we really love to follow is the Haitian Revolution, Marcus Garvey's UNIA, Malcolm X, the Black Panther Party. And this is one legacy that leads to Black Hammer and the revolutionary material that we're understanding and that we're using to guide us forward and to give us footing as we practice self-determination. And as land liberators of the first official Hammer City, we want everyone who's watching right now to know we 100% do not consider the state that's on indigenous stolen land, built on the labor of African, Asian, and indigenous people all over. And the violence, that's what it lives on. We consider it completely illegitimate, and we don't consider it, we consider it void. It's gone, it's done, like we need to let it go, we need to push it out of our minds, and recognize that this is not a legitimate state. And as indigenous people of the American continent and colonized people abroad, we want to really like come together and finish the legacies and connect the legacies of anti-colonialism all over. And this is in line with many revolutionary movements around the world, in line with the revolution of Haiti, in line with the revolution of the people of Venezuela, Nicaragua, Cuba, in line with the indigenous and Afro-indigenous nations revolting against their puppet governments in Peru, Ecuador, Chile, Colombia, Brazil, and in line with the autonomous territories like the Zapatistas, who are showing us right now what self-determination looks like. It's in line with the multiple and various warrior societies and anti-colonial nations, First Nations that are still protecting their land, the land defenders that we see all the time, and that we see every year, every decade, that are having to defend from, you know, golf courses or pipelines. And this is the legacy we're fighting for. And we're also in line with the anti-imperialist nations of Korea, Vietnam, China, who have found self-determination in literally getting rid of the colonizer from their land. And we're also in line with the guerrillas of the Philippines, India, Nepal, who continue to fight for self-determination in the face of the terrorist tactics and the brutal state repression from neo-colonial puppets. And this is in line with all the suffering colonized people, people of color, if you want to say that. And we're in line with all these people. We are in line with the same struggle. This is all one struggle coming together to build our own community and to defend each other and to build each other up. Because it's time. It's like, it's been time. We've been dehumanized, we've been enslaved, we've been beaten, our hands have been cut off, our tongues have been cut out, and we're fucking done. We're sick of it. We're watching our people die. We're watching our people be thrown onto the street. We're watching as they literally tell our children to go back to school and kill each other by just infecting each other and bring it back to us to kill us. We're watching as they don't care that we starve. They don't care that we don't have anything to live off of, any of the resources, that we're dying of mental health and addictions and all kinds of things. And Hammer City is the answer to all of that. And it's the answer to that because it's the removal, it's the beginning of the removal of the colonizer from the land, of the European colonizer, of the white man from the land. They have destroyed our culture multiple times. We're moving to get out of that. Hammer City is a global project, as I've stated, and this is the first of many. This is the first Hammer City of many. And Hammer Cities are liberated territories that are given back under the dictatorship of the rightful nation. And all over the world, the white man has set up camp, installed neocolonial puppets, and stolen our people. And in response, Black Hammer is, with the help of all colonized people of the masses, we're taking back the land. And we're going to take back the resources, and we're going to build our own power and our own structure and our own governing documents. We're going to build our own methods and modes of production by getting that land and working together to expand it, to grow it, to learn it. And we're not asking that anybody recognize us, because we don't need people to recognize us. We need the masses to recognize us. We need ourselves to recognize us. And it's literally our time. And as such, we are honored, the people here, to hold the title of Liberators of the Land for Hammer City. Black Hammer Commander-in-Chief Ghazi, Secretary General Mohamedou, and all the international chiefs, including Chief Ina, Chief Diva, and Chief Sa, of the Black Hammer organization, have actively struggled to assure us as indigenous people of this continent that we have full control. This isn't fake shit, this isn't symbolic, this isn't performative. It's literally, you guys have control to practice self-determination and dictatorship over your land. And remind us of our humanity, of who we are. But to start, I would really love to introduce the chiefs that are speaking first. I would love to introduce all of them first. We have Chief Qatari, who is there, land back Chief Qatari, Chief Benjamin, land back Chief Benjamin. We have Secretary General Mohamedou, land back, Chief Alex, land back, Chief Dominic, how's it going? And Chief Shia, who is the leader of the Land Liberators Committee, and is leading us in this struggle, in this fight forward. But I would love to introduce now Chief Benjamin and Chief Alex who will be speaking. I'll have Chief Benjamin go first, and we will move from there.
All right. Land back, everybody. Land back. I'm going to be speaking to you today about where my peoples come from and how my people have been impacted by this colonial virus, by this stealing of our land and stealing of our identity, right? And disconnecting us from our original land, language, and ways of life. So, Boriken, the land of noble people. This was the original name and the meaning of the original name of the mighty island across the water from Haiti. This island was and is inhabited by the descendants of Arawak-speaking peoples who move freely between islands and coasts and lands around the warm sea and the cooler oceans. Colonial borders that we see today did not stop my people from meeting each other, from struggling with each other, and building with each other. Those borders did not mean anything. Those coasts did not mean anything. The specific people living on, cultivating, and being born of the land of Boriken were the Taino people. With their own strength and knowledge, they created homes powerful enough to withstand the wrath of Huracan, the powerful force they said would bring hurricanes upon the island. They cultivated cassava and tobacco. They used canoes to navigate the waters. They designed and rested in hammocks. Hurricane, cassava, tobacco, canoe, hammock. Those words that we use today in the English colonized language that we have right now, those words come from the Taino language, the language of my ancestors. So just as the language is alive today, the people are alive today as well. The Taino people are alive today as well. We are not gone. We are on the island of Borinquen, on the island of Haiti, on the island of Cuba, on the coast of these continents in the south, on the coast of these continents in the north. We are still alive. And though we've been torn apart by colonialism, though we've been torn apart and been stuck on our coast because colonialism says you are to work this island, you are to work this plantation, you are to work this land. Even though colonialism has done that to us, the noble and valiant people, the people of Boriken, the people of the noble land, the people of the land of the noble people are continuing to push back against the destruction and the exploitation of our beautiful lands and islands. One phrase in the Taino language is Daka, which means I am. Daka. I am indigenous and I'm also African, right? You can be both. You can be indigenous and you can be African. Some people don't like to make that image in their minds because those are some two pretty powerful people coming together, some pretty powerful ancestry coming together. But yes, I am indigenous and I am African. My mother's family comes from Boriken, which colonialism has now deemed, in addition to a few other islands, Puerto Rico, right? Puerto Rico, which is not just one island. It's actually many islands. So it also shows that colonialism likes to try to group these islands where different peoples were living as this one nation, as this one place that they claim that is going to be theirs to use and exploit. But no, Puerto Rico is actually multiple islands. In the southeastern part of the island is the area of Guayama, which is another example of the Taino language coming to the forefront and still alive today. Guayama, the name of the town where my mother's family is from, is based on the local cacique, the chief of that area. And that person's name has been used to create the name of the town. And in Guayama is where the roots of my family, the indigenous roots and the African roots of my Puerto Rican family take place, right? And that's where many Africans were brought as laborers to work the sugar plantations of the southeast part of Puerto Rico. It was the third biggest slave port on the island. And these people who came here from Africa, right? These Africans who came here as enslaved Africans, they were fighting against their slave masters. They're fighting against colonialism. They ran to the mountains. They formed maroon communities. They formed maroon communities with the indigenous people on the island, with the Taino people, right? And so that blood, that ancestry lives in me. And it lives in all the people of Borinquen, right? And many of the people of Borinquen. And these roots that just aren't historic. They lived even up to the point of my grandmother. My grandmother, who had to stop going to school at the age of 8 years old. At 8 years old, she had to stop going to school. At this point, this would have been 1950. There wasn't even the ELA, the Estado Libre Asociado. It wasn't even the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico yet. The U.S. is just messing with Puerto Rico and was like, okay, we kind of own you, but we don't know exactly what we're going to call you, so y'all don't keep rising up. Because at this point, Puerto Ricans are trying to rise up against U.S. colonialism. At the age of 8, my grandmother had to stop going to school so she could help work the sugar plantations. She had to stop going to school at age 8 to help cut sugar cane. This is the reality of colonialism. It lives until it dies. It lives until it dies. It lives now with us. It lived before and lived with us, and it won't live once we build Hammer City. It won't live once we move past it. It won't move forward unless we destroy it. So I want the land back to the indigenous people of Puerto Rico, of Boriquen. I want Boriquen back in the hands of its people so that they can burn down the sugar plantations, so that they can shut down the ash coal plants that the U.S. has put all over the island. Cancer is so prevalent in my family's community because of a giant heap of ash coal that the wind blows from the hurricanes and then makes people get gross because they're inhaling this, especially after Hurricane Maria. The whole ash heap pretty much disappeared. And where did it all go? Into the lungs of my people? No. Colonialism has to go. And so we have to do all this to stamp out any colonial power, the U.S. colonial power, the Spanish colonial power, any colonial power that dares to come onto this island or to any of the islands of our indigenous brothers and sisters. And we have to stand up and dare to be the noble people that were once of this land, of the noble people. And to stop this greed and thievery must be our goal. So, Dakar. And I'm going to pass it now to Chief Dominic of the Algonquin people.
Land back, everyone. I just want to give it up for that sermon that my fellow Chief Benjamin just gave. Like, just the ideologies that have been stripped from us for so long, for like generations, hundreds of years, right? Like, we have all these perceptions about ethnicity and race and background because of colonialism. Like, all of this is colonial structures that we at Black Hammer are actively fighting against and fighting to bring it back to its original meanings. We're trying to find our original meaning as being indigenous people, getting back our history, our language, and most importantly, our land. Build Hammer City, land back. This is why we have the war cry, land back. All people should belong and have dictatorship over the lands that they are indigenous to. And right now, we are talking about the indigenous people of Turtle Island that the colonists have named the Americas, right? So, as Chief Benjamin stated, I am from the Algonquian Nation, and I wanted to bring this picture right here. This is a picture of my grandfather, who is African and Piscataway. So I am from the Algonquin Nation by way of the Piscataway tribe. And there are many tribes that are under the Algonquin Nation. And the Algonquin Nation ranges from the lands of Southern Virginia all the way up to the lands of New Jersey and New York, as the colonists say, all the way to the Ohio Valley. There are tribes. All of these tribes in this big scope shared the Algonquin language to trade, to have commerce, to live amongst each other. And even though these people recognized their own individual tribes, they all came together and spoke this language to live with each other. Language is a powerful tool. And that's something that's been stripped of us. Like, I don't have much of my Algonquin language. And I've always been at odds with my identity because I am too African. And that's something that was so powerful in Chief Benjamin's words. Like, we can be both. You're valid in both identities. And as though I've been taught and raised and looked upon as African, that doesn't take anything away from being part of the Algonquin nation and being part of the Piscataway tribe. Even the federal government doesn't want to give recognition to my tribe, even though it's valid, even though they were here before the settler class was here. Before them settlers came, Piscataway was a thing, and now it's not. To them, they don't want to recognize it, and that's because they don't want to give us what they know we deserve, and that's dictatorship over our own land. The people of my tribe have tried to work together, and we have tried to take dictatorship over the places that many call Southern Maryland. So like the cities or the towns of like Waldorf and La Plata, and those that border the Chesapeake Bay. Like those are the original lands of my people. And we all know, like we all grew up watching the movie Pocahontas, right? And you know, the illegitimate name Pocahontas, that victim of colonialism, she was from the Powhatan tribe, which is a neighboring tribe to Piscataway. Like that child, she was a child, and she was stripped from her land, and basically a sex slave to these settlers, to John Rolfe, and had to bear his children, then taken to England to die of their diseases, of smallpox, a disease that the indigenous people had never witnessed before until the settlers came and gave it to them. And they even used smallpox as a bio warfare against the people to kill them out under the false pretenses of blankets and tools to help them. And because we as indigenous people have always traded with people that we may not share the same tribe with, we took it as in good faith and was wiped out in the process. And there's just so much reclamation, and I feel as though I would really be making my grandfather proud in the work that I'm trying to do, because I wouldn't have even known about my nationality for him, and he wouldn't have even known until actual Piscataway tribesmen came to his mother's funeral. His mother always said, my people weren't slaves, and he never understood because he thought his mother was African, and the whole time she was Piscataway, and didn't learn that until her death. And he made sure that I knew and understood before his death. And I'm really trying to carry on, not just Piscataway, but I'm trying to do this for all of the Algonquin nations. My mother, her name is Shawnee, and Shawnee is one of the tribes of Algonquin that is part indigenous to the Ohio valleys. And that was bestowed to her by her mother, honoring the ancestry that she comes from. And we're all doing this to honor our ancestors and to make sure that not just our ancestors, not just us as descendants of our ancestors of the indigenous people of Turtle Island, but everyone globally have dictatorship to the lands that they are indigenous to. And we will work hard. I will die. I am giving up my life to make sure everyone has dictatorship over the lands that come from their and belong to their ancestors, and the lands that they are indigenous to. I give you my life working on this project. And that's where I would end my talk for today.
Land back. Thank you so much, Chief Dominic. That was incredible. And Chief Benjamin. That was just incredible. That was amazing. We are going to move to a section that we will need from the audience to share. We need you all to share, and we need you to start donating. We are having a raffle fundraiser where we will be giving away some of these prizes. Hammer City is a project that will cost money at the beginning. We are building self-determination, but in order to do that, we need to grow dual power first. So I need everyone to share, and I need you to put hashtag shared when you share, and then I need you to start donating. And where can you donate? Venmo or Cash App, Build Hammer City. So it's at Build Hammer City for Venmo, and it's Cash App with the little cash sign, Build Hammer City for Cash App. And you can also go to GoFundMe. .com/build Hammer City, and you will see that we have goals set. We have everything figured out. We know what we have to attack first. We've studied, we've researched this. And for the raffle fundraiser, how it will work is that you will get, for every $5 you pledge, you will get an entry, and the winners will be announced tomorrow. So when you can pledge, if you can pledge any money, it's starting right now from 1 p.m. to 12 to midnight Eastern Standard Time tonight, is when the okay, Chief Manasseh got 50 on it. I love that. I love that. Would anybody else like to pledge? Who can pledge? $5, $15, $10, $1, $100. We've had a couple of friends do that. But while we're raising money and we see your comments and your donations come in, we will be doing some questions and answers that we have been receiving through Instagram. To start off, I would like to go back to Chief Dominic and say, will there be healthcare in Hammer City?
Land back, and this is such an important question because we can't have self-determination if we can't take care of ourselves, right? And healthcare is such an important facet of self-determination and self-empowerment. Currently, the Black Hammer organization in its entirety already offers many health beneficial programs such as physical training, self-defense training, mental health, and herbology research. Now, we are in very early stages of Hammer City, and as we develop Hammer City, this healthcare within itself will be further developed so we can really make sure that our people are protected. We don't have to go to any more colonial hospitals. We don't have to worry about being denied because of our insurance, because we are deemed as, not worthy by doctors, and our lives are just taken aside. So healthcare is such an important facet of civilization. Anthropologists don't even recognize a civilization until they notice that there is actual medical treatment within that grouping of people. Like, this is the anthropological definition of civilization, and that is one taking care of the other. So Hammer City is very important that we make sure we can take care of each other, and we have many facets that we're doing right now, and we will continue to grow this exponentially until we have the scientific power that is seen in these colonial powers, and they only have what they have because of stealing our fucking land, labor, and resources.
Land back. No, I totally agree. Thank you so much for that. We have incredible friendly donors who are going in and getting, those $50 in. So just so you know, if you put in $50, every $5 is an entry. So that's 10 entries for $50. So like if you were to give $10, that's 2 entries. And we will be announcing the winners on Tuesday Rally. But for the next question, we will go with Chief Qatari. How will Hammer City stay financially self-determined to pay settlers?
I'm back, y'all. So, right off the bat, just to get this started is completely dependent on the collective. That is the people that are watching right now, your family, your friends, anybody that thinks yo, hold on, people need somewhere to live during in all cases, but during this pandemic, people are getting kicked out of their homes in New York State, the moratorium, whatever that word means, shit. But the ability for people to stay home and not pay rent because they need, shit is fucking crazy, is expired soon. It's this week or something, right? Shit is getting harder and harder by the week, right? People need places to live. So if you know that people are concerned about this, shit, you have a whole organization building, right? Building to have somewhere where our people can have that stability, that peace of mind, and come and then the second part, right? You have the upkeep, right? We spend 40 hours more, right, of our lives every week putting in the labor for who? Not for us. That shit does not come back to us, right? But when you come to Hammer City, you're gonna put that work in. It's gonna be for you and your people, right? That's how we're gonna help. That's how we're gonna support each other. We're gonna grow our food. We're gonna have our electricity, our water systems, everything that needs to be maintained. Then you're gonna see the direct connection with the land. You're gonna foster that relationship with your labor, right? With the two, the shit that you be working with your mind, with your body, however it is that you put in the work is gonna come back to you And in this sense, we're going to stay financially stable, right? In this sense, we're going to support ourselves collectively, right? We're going to put our work together and use it collectively for the benefit of all the people that come to Hammer City. And not for the colonizer, not for these corporations, not for your boss, like none of that shit. Eliminate it, get rid of it. You're going to have, this is a small microcosm for us to practice dictatorship overland, right? A small place where we get to start. And it's just a start, right? Because like, well, people are like, oh, we got to pay taxes. You got to pay like all this kind of shit, right? And yeah, it will start off that way. We will have to struggle and wage like war with the state, like little by little, right? But eventually, as we get the people's unity, and we start building more Hammer cities, and our territory grows, and our practices grow, and our political education reach the masses, we will accumulate the power where we can start really combating that shit. Be like, yo, fuck them taxes, fuck that property, like private property ass shit. Like we will spread, and we won't have to worry about those things anymore, right? But it takes y'all right here. Like it takes everybody watching. It takes everybody's input and labor pitching in for us to get to that level of organization and power, right? So we can say, fuck with the state. We can take care of ourselves. We don't have to give y'all shit. Land back.
Land back. Hell yeah. Fuck yeah. That was incredible. Literally building dual power until it can become a single state. Land back. Awesome. So now we will be moving to Secretary General. Secretary General, someone asked, how big will Hammer City be?
Land back, y'all. Hammer City is going to be huge, massive, a city, y'all, like a whole city with, you know, transportation systems, the works. Really the difference between the city and the town, so we've come to understand, is just that one has a system of governance that is, you know, localized to the center part, to where it's at, rather, and one doesn't. So Hammer City is going to be massive. And obviously that's not going to be, you know, the first day we're going to be 8 million people, but, you know, that's going to happen because colonized people need somewhere to be. And we are tired of getting killed by the cops. We are tired of getting killed by colonial virus, coronavirus, and we are tired of living under the boot of this system. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be pretty massive pretty quickly because, you know, when there ain't nothing else to lose and you got all this beautiful city with all these colonized people, no white people, you best be believing that people going to move on down there real quick. So, yeah, it's going to be massive. And we are not putting a limit onto how many colonized people can show up. So that's that.
Land back. Thank you so much, Secretary General. That is awesome. Now we will have Chief Alex go. So, Chief Alex, the question is, will it be autonomous?
Land back. And absolutely, yes, Hammer City is autonomous. This meeting we are having right now is not a symbolic meeting for like the leadership of Hammer City. It is liberated territory, and it will be meeting the material interests of colonized people. We, the indigenous liberators of the land, will be responsible for meeting those interests. Like that's where our power comes from the land from which we can sustain the masses. Like that's what Hammer City is, a base for us to organize that power and to create that dual foundation to combat the illegitimate colonial state. Like we are autonomous because for two reasons. One, ideologically, because the colonizers' constitution is illegitimate. Their laws are illegitimate. They do not apply to us. And two, because we will have the base to enforce that dictatorship. Absolutely. Land back.
Land back. Yes, it will be. Fuck yeah. We really need to get those donations up. If you really want one of these, let's show the prizes again. There's a poster. It's the flyer. It's made by our one and only Secretary of Political Education and Culture Command, Mona. And then we also have this mug, which is the background. of Chief Katari, if you've been seeing it, with Land is Power and Build Hammer City right on it. We also have this shirt. We have sizes small through 3XL. So we have all kinds of sizes. Literally just let us know what size you are if you win it. And it has land is power on the back. You can really show off and you can get people to talk about this stuff. Awesome. Yes, there we go. We're seeing them. But for the next question, we will be asking Chief Shia, how is the labor divided?
Land back. So the labor is going to be divided by who has the physical capabilities to do the labor that we need to do, and experience, and just who is willing and open to learning new things in order to get this city off the ground and to maintain it, really. So it's not anarchistically. It isn't just you go over there and you just start digging a hole or some shit, or you just do whatever you feel needs to be done. No, because we actually have a system that we follow through. We have a plan of action for everything that we do. And so all of your labor has to serve a purpose before you're just walking around just doing shit for no fucking reason, or for no reason, excuse me. Yeah, so I would say that the labor is going to be allocated based on need and based on who is capable of doing it.
Land back, yes. And we are democratic centralists, so we work together, we discuss together, and then we work. As soon as those decisions are made, we just go on full-fledged. Love it. For one of the last questions third to last, I guess, we have Chief Benjamin. The question is, I know no whites are allowed in Hammer City, no colonizers, but what about mixed people?
All right, okay. What about mixed people? Well, first, before I answer, I'm gonna give 25 to Build Hammer City. If you could match me, $25. Who can also get $25? That's 5 raffle tickets. I want that mug too. I saw Christine said they want that mug. I'm gonna get that mug. So who's gonna fight for that mug against me? Yes. So we know colonizers aren't allowed in Hammer City. White people are not allowed in Hammer City. There'll be a sign, no whites, in multiple languages, multiple colonizer languages, no whites, right? And so in Hammer City, though, who's welcome? Any colonized person. If you are colonized, if I go up and say, are you colonized? And you say yes, welcome to Hammer City, right? I mean, of course, we gotta know if we got some ways to figure out if you colonized. But if you are colonized, regardless if you are African and indigenous, or if you are African and white, right? We know that you are colonized, right? This is our second principle of unity, right? We believe all colonized people are equal, regardless of gender, sexual orientation, place of origin, right? And the very last part of that principle, biracial, multiracial identity, right? You are welcome to Hammer City if you are colonized. This is for all colonized people, because all colonized people need this answer. All colonized people need a Hammer City. All colonized people need liberation, right? So if you are colonized, you are allowed to be in Hammer City. You are welcome to help build Hammer City. And you are welcome to be in Black Hammer to help build Hammer City, all right? So yeah, land back.
Land back, Chief. Thank you so much. No, that's for real. If you are a colonized person, come on over. If you are not white, welcome to Hammer City. That's the one. I love the socialist competition. I also forgot to mention some of the prizes. Thank you so much, Chief Katari, for reminding me. We also, on top of the ones that we don't have shown here, we have booty shorts that say Black Hammer, and then they have the logo right on the crotch for you. We are going to be having this campaign where we want to show you, and we want you to show us with your booty shorts. This is a great campaign for us to really come together to show that we're still ratchet as fuck, and we're still organized, and we're still doing better than all these organizations out here. I don't want to name anyone because they don't deserve to be named, but they don't got the events we do. They don't got the support we do because they're not doing what we do. They're not showing with their actions that they can actually complete what they say, and they're not fulfilling their own political line. We are. So yes, donate to Hammer City. For people who I see, you know, those $20, that's 4 entries right there. The more you spend, the more chance you get of getting it, and the more you help build Hammer City. So for one of the questions that I'm going to ask for myself is, where will Hammer City be? Oh, just kidding. I'm not going to give that away. You thought, huh? No. The location will be announced. We do know where it is. I'm so excited for it to be there. We have figured it out. We figured out some of the limitations and qualifications. Here, this committee here was the ones that made the way that we're going to choose, and we finally chosen, and I'm so excited. But in order to find out, you will have to tune in 2 weeks, August 15th, in 2 weeks, August 15th, to find out where it will be. So if you really want to know, come to the next one. But to continue, one other question we have for Secretary General: will there be kids in Hammer City?
Y'all, bring the babies. Bring the babies. There are chiefs with babies. Listen, not only will there be people bringing their babies and children who will know nothing but a free and liberated town that is Hammer City, because they moved there so young that they don't remember colonialism. They don't know what that looks like. But there will also be children born there, because we are going to have generations of liberated, colonized people. So if you are worried about your babies walking down the street, if you are worried about your babies in this coronavirus time, if you are worried about your babies going back to school because they're trying to kill our children, they're trying to kill our children. Do not believe their lies. They're trying to kill your child. And if you want to save them, you need to move to Hammer City, where we will have no coronavirus. So yes, we will have the children, the babies. Yes, and we will protect our babies. Black land back, land back.
Land back, hell yes. When we say masses, we mean old people, we mean young people, we mean adults, we mean babies, we mean kids, we mean everyone who's a colonized person. We are all equal, and we are all coming together to make this work. Motherfucking work. So yes, somebody asked, I'm gonna donate, but can I straight up buy a shirt? So these are limited edition. They're only raffle prizes. We do have shirts for sale though, and we will be putting up certain shirts up. We have our store opening the 1st or 2nd week of August. So this week or next week, I can't remember. But we have a store opening. Watch out for this new update that's coming, and you will be able to buy those shirts just straight up, even if you don't win the raffle. But can you get married in Hammer City? You can get married anywhere. But to move, it is up to you. We are going to be continue to donate, continue to share. If you can't donate right now, donate a little later. Let your friends know to donate if they want to win the shirt. The raffle time is open all the way up until midnight tonight. And we'll be announcing at this following Tuesday rally, 7 p.m. Eastern. Be there, Facebook Live. But to keep things going, remember, there's 5 prizes, just so we have one last time. We have a t-shirt, Hammer City t-shirt with a bunch of sizes. We have the Hammer City mug, Hammer City poster, the Black Hammer t-shirt. We're also giving one of those away, the one that you see all of us, most of us wearing, with the black and the red. And then we also have Hammer City booty shorts. But to show who's up next, I would like to introduce Chief Alex and Chief Katari. We will have Chief Alex speak first, and then we will move from there. Chief Alex, take it away. Land back.
Land back. Yeah, so Chief Benjamin and I actually come from the same people, just different islands. So I'm glad to have Taino represent in this, like in Hammer City. And to go over the history of those people, the Caribbean islands were one of the last areas in this hemisphere to be inhabited 8,000 years ago, according to colonizer analysis, so take that with a grain of salt. The Arawakan people moved upwards from the coasts of Colombia into the islands, into Boriken, Jamaica, Cuba. Their connection with the Arawak family of nations was kept alive in the Arawakan language, which stretches over vast territories in the Amazon, Venezuela, Colombia. It was the Taino nation that developed the complex sciences of seafaring, agriculture, and cosmology for the entire Caribbean. And the caciques, the chiefs, which oversaw the guardianship of the land. that history of the Taino nation, which goes back so much farther than Columbus and colonization, today serves as the foundation for the island of Cuba. It's Taino culture that has nurtured and made strong the poor and working class campesinos of the island. Taino hands which built thatched roundhouses or bohíos strong enough to withstand hurricanes. It's the system and tools of agriculture, the traditional farming and cultivation methods keeping the island afloat after the collapse of the Soviet Union, the pharmacy of the land, which colonized doctors would call like groundbreaking, the colonizer doctors would call groundbreaking, that healed the sick. The myth of Taino extinction is just another form of genocide against us, we who fled to other islands, we who fled into the mountains of Sierra del Cristal, we who passed on the backbone of a people to their children, who stooped to keep their secrets in the fields as guajiros, but would not break. And my connection lies somewhere towards the center of the wheels of that ancestral memory, fixed and connected with every other part, but disconnected from the ground. Like my existence spins around that ancestral memory. Half remembered bits of Santeria in my grandmother's house, the cooking, the distinguishing features between my cousins, my brother, and I, who looked more African or who looked more Indio. My father's hard-earned talent for building houses and searching for the story of my people within a paper genocide. The closest that anyone would speak of my Taino nation was that their stories are written in my DNA, but I'd say that it's written even louder in the land, in the stories of migration and generational battles with the state. It's written in my body's physical rejoice to return to the herbal remedies and that pharmacy of the land. Land back. I'm going to pass it over to Chief Katari.
Land back, y'all. So, wow, that was beautiful, Chief Alex. Like, I don't know if you just talk like that, but just that's like prose. That's like poetry. But I appreciate that so much. My name is Chief Katari. I represent the colonized nation of Ecuador, the Quechua people of the land. And I'm the chief media coordinator for Black Hammer. But I just want to share like this short history of my people and the layers of colonization that they resisted. I'm from a city called Cuenca. It's a Spanish colonial city, so it was colonized. And it's like, it lies in the middle of this big like circular valley in the mountains of the Sierra, high above the coastlines in Ecuador and like the southeast regions. But this land, it was colonized, but it had its own story driven by the indigenous people, right? Before it was Cuenca, it was Tamepampa, which meant knife field. It meant this big field. And that's a word that I grew up with, being with my family. I grew up on the Pampa. I grew up going to the garden and going to the land, because my people were still very much so connected, right? Our people always had their minds on the land and how they can sustain themselves for generations. But this was all like, this went through so many layers of history and colonization and struggle. Even before it was, when it became Tamepampa, that was because of an Incan ruler who was in the process of building a second capital in Cusco, like Cusco in Peru. But before them, it was the Canary people of Guayaponding, who had their own cultures and their own language and their own building styles and art. But it was like such a crazy history of like wars and conquest. But they preserved their life. Ultimately, the people there had control over their lives, over the land, so they could keep the struggle and they could keep their cultures and their livelihood. I lived in the center of this city, growing up mad young, like 6 years old. But I never knew any of this stuff. Like I never knew the history of the land until Black Hammer encouraged me to and nurtured my need to learn my history, because my country is mad colonized, not just physically, but mentally, right? I was learning the colonizer's language, not just Spanish, which is its like own colonizer language, but I was learning English at 6 years old, because intrinsically, this system knew that I would have to know that to serve the colonizers, right? At 6 years old, I was learning how to speak English because they were like, that's how you're going to serve the colonizer. Go and learn it. Like, my destiny was being laid out for me. And that's something I'm learning to fight against, right? Fight against that that colonization. They really got us getting ready to work for these bosses, for these white corporations, for white power. But it makes sense when I look at the history, right, of the struggle and how what happened. We are colonized. Like, my people in Ecuador and Cuenca, specifically where I'm from, we're haters, yo, because we're all like developed this like culture of being distant and cold, because we were enslaved, we were colonized, we were forced to labor and produce, and we're always in this turmoil and war, and we lost control of our lives. We became heavily mixed. A lot of us are like mad, like light when the Spanish invaded, and we became like disgruntled people. But if you go to the coast, bro, like if you go to the coast of Ecuador, there are whole cities, like Esmeralda, which is the city that is predominantly Afro-Ecuadorian, and these people have such like vibrant spirit because they had to fight for their liberation. They were freed slaves and indigenous people of all ethnicities, and like their spirit is mad vibrant, and it's like such a crazy contrast how they fought that colonization, that mentality, but still like the fight continues today. Like, people in my country are fighting the World Bank, they're fighting the IMF, they're fighting the tools of white power because they're fighting against these American corporations who are taking the land, taking the oil, and ruining it. And these indigenous people are always at the front of the fights. In the 90s, the people that launched one of the powerful Pachakutik, which is basically this word that means land return revolution, like, right? Land's always the forefront of their minds, was the largest ever in Ecuadorian history. And the indigenous people blocked the roads with boulders and rocks and trees and stopped it. The whole country, they stopped it for a whole week. And historically, if you look at the history of Ecuador, like, we are so good at displacing these neo-colonial rulers. Like, you will not, like, you're very hard to find like a dude that made the whole term, right? But what we lack is the organization to carry that revolution through. We have assassinated, we have lit their buildings on fire, all kinds of shit, right, to get these neo-colonial and colonizers out of power. But we need the organization to carry through that force. Because our history is very tumultuous. There's very, very few periods of stability in the country. And we need to undo our colonized mentality so we can carry these revolutions to fruition, right, to something better, not just keep the cycle going. We can't be afraid, and we have to be dedicated to the struggle, or else we go into this like reform that leads nowhere. And we've seen that happen over and over in our land. Like, Ecuador might have been declared a multi-ethnic national country in the early 2000s, but by then the racism, the colorism had already taken root. Like, I grew up being exposed to the hatred of my own people for themselves. Like, they had, right, they would use words like Runa and Indio, and are still used as insults today to demean the people who are fighting for all of our freedom, for all of our liberation. These words were used by my own family, and the funniest thing is that, like, my dad's side of the family, who clearly had more indigenous roots, were the biggest haters, yo. Like, they bagged on poor people, they bagged on the indigenous people, and they were both of those things. That's how the colonizer brainwashes our minds. They internalize that oppressor's bullshit. And I had to fight against that mentality growing up and understand why it's there. It came from colonialism, it came from white power. And it's not old history. Like, colonialism is strong as fuck today, but we are going to see like the end of it. Like, we are seeing it struggle right now to maintain its grip. But like, once I started learning my history, like, I got all kinds of like stories from my dad being like, yo, like, that's right. Like, the hatred that we had for ourselves, he was starting to undo that, and like stories and bits and pieces of his history that he might have not had the avenues to feel proud of and teach me about came out. Like, he literally was telling me about something that he forgot that happened in like 1985, where legit indigenous people in the area of Ecuador in a town called Giron in San Fernando, like where my dad grew up, and like literally like the land, like the mountains and everything. He told me like people rose up when they saw that this colonizer neocolonialist who had owned like vast stretches of land was dying, right? And the neocolonial like land manager was like ready for him to die because he was like, this shit's gonna be mine now, right? But like the indigenous people were like on it. They were like, shit, like this dude's about to die. Like, let's start making moves. Like, this is our chance to get the land back. And this vast swath of land was liberated because the people went to this neocolonialist house and they abducted his ass. This is like legit history that my dad like lived through and his family lived through, and his dad was there and my family was there. And they went to his house and they abducted his ass. And they said, if you don't split up the land and distribute it amongst the people here, we're gonna kill you straight up. Like these stories aren't old. Like our people know how to fight. They really do. Like it's natural recourse for like people to be like, I have to hang on to my life. This is how I live. And they're about to set him on fire, like legit. They're about to set him on fire before he gave up. And the land was split. So now like the areas of Giron and San Fernando is split, and like my family has like pieces of that, and they were able to build their livelihood and maintain their livelihood because the people there rose up. And this is something that like my dad, unless I had to drag it out of him, you know, because they put that shit into the back of our minds, is they make it something that we should be ashamed of fighting back. But it's there. It's like literally like talk to your family, talk to everybody. The history is there. The need for action is there. And like our people are ready, yo. Like I was talking to my mom about the houses that we're gonna build, and she was like, yo, like that's how much like our house in Ecuador is like that. Like I know how to do that shit. Like I can help y'all. Like y'all should do this and that. And like, you know, like people are ready. People know it's just in the back of their heads. You just gotta get to it. You just gotta grab it on and drag it out of them so we can get this land back. But that's where I'm coming from. That's why I'm here, because I know that the plan has been laid out. It's in the memory of my father and my mother and my grandfathers. It's in them. I just have to be that person and be like, let's do it again. Let's keep it up. Let's not give up. Land back, y'all. I'm straight up forgot who's next. But actually, I think it's giving it back to Chief B. But I'm just glad everybody's here, and I hope y'all can reach your people, because that's all we got. Land back.
Landback, am I going on next now?
You are, Chief. You're next.
Okay, sorry. All right, well, then, Buju, Shakoa, Masawetin, Nindishnakas, Gawin, Mashi, Nindure Messi. And so that basically means, hello, I'm Shakoa Masawetin, and I do not know my clan, what history I have with my clan. And that is something that I have to relearn because of what colonialism is taking from me. My nations are the Chichimeca people of Mexico and the Anishinaabe nation of North America. For 500 years, my people have been regarded as subhuman on the same land we were born to tend, protect, and cherish. The land, its rivers, and its trees that make up the home that we base our history, our culture, our traditions, and our entire way of life off of are taken from us. And if we haven't been forced into reservations to keep us from exercising our self-determination, then we've been outright criminalized for even attempting to reclaim what is ours, rightfully. We've been told that our people aren't mentally capable of knowing how to own land. And that is because any decent person could never believe that land should be purchased and sold. So anyone who believes that, anyone who believes that you can buy and sell your own mother, your own history, you forfeit your humanity. So that's why indigenous people are considered too mentally incapable of owning our own land. And if we haven't been massacred, we've been starved by the people that we've been told were protecting us, such as the Bureau of Indian Affairs. If our culture hasn't been taken and profited off of in boarding schools and academia, or even just by, you know, white hipsters who just want to make a quick money selling dream catchers or some shit, then it has outright been torn from us when they steal our children and raise them in white families. If we aren't quaint relics of the past to the colonizer, then we're just animals, we're just savages. And I've been called a savage directly and indirectly my entire life. And I've decided to refuse the notion that my people aren't an advanced people. And I love us all. While knowing my people lived in terror of deportation and kidnapping women and children by rapists, fetishizing colonizers for way too long. And I'm tired of watching the toll that things like substance abuse, another product of colonialism, and how that has affected our communities for all these years. And I won't pretend like we don't know who is all flooding our communities with that problem as well. And where these substances come from, such as when the United States has taken like thousands of acres of poppy fields during the war in Afghanistan, and then suddenly we have an opium epidemic in the United States. Yeah. I'm tired of watching our families being ripped apart at the border, or just the bare injustice of families ripping each other apart while we're trying to cope with our own survival. And the injustice of seeing every day that when I walk outside, what are they using our land for? What have they've stolen so much from us? What do they use it for? And they use it to build condominiums, and they use it to house their prison industrial complexes, their modern day slavery, and to just, if not that, then to just outright murder African and indigenous people on the streets like animals every day, every single day. So the colonizer has not offered anything of value to make up for 500 years of theft and domination of African and indigenous people. There's no concession or treaty left for the colonizer which can offer or rectify the situation they caused and inflicted on our people purposely. We have no rights in practice. We have no room to speak. We are not expected to defend ourselves, and we are always expected to quarter the colonial soldier that quarters in our own minds. So we don't have civil rights. Indigenous people and African people really do not in practice have actual civil rights that we fought for. Even the current freedom of religion that indigenous people now have after maybe 30, 40 years since the 70s, when you could have gone to jail for practicing your religion as an indigenous person under old pagan laws from the 1800s and 1700s, that won't stop them from just bulldozing right through your sacred sites, or for taking the Black Hills from you like they've done to the Igualasu people. And it's for all these reasons that indigenous people from all walks of Turtle Island decide that every document that this nation is bound on is completely void. The Constitution, the Declaration of Supremacy, and every right that has been written down will never truly be granted to our people. We will no longer prey on treaties and a sudden miracle change of conscience to save us from 500 years of domination. So if you believe in self-determination, we welcome you. And if you're a colonized person who dreams of liberation, we we welcome you. And if you're tired of just trying to remember who you and your people are, we will welcome you. Because this isn't about minimum wage or police reform or abolition anymore. This is about the problem at the core of it all. This is about land back. Every person has 1,000 ancestors behind them. I heard that from an elder about 3-4 years ago, and it just rings true every day. When I think about my family history, I think about the women on my grandmother's side who fought in the Mexican Revolutionary War against France, who fought alongside Pancho Villa. The stories of the crazy, battle scenarios that they had to live through, and the times that they were, that they were even told to dig our own graves or to just run. Either dig your own grave or run, and having to flee and having to move up into what is now the United States for what we thought was salvation when it wasn't. And just knowing that, even after all these years, even after all these centuries, I can still see the rivers that my ancestors used to traverse and speak and trade with people all along Turtle Island for thousands of years. And even though they're empty with just the colonial shipping vessels that there are now, it's still just we have everything to gain, every single thing in the world to gain. So yeah, I'm back.
Thank you so much for that, Chief Shia. Thank you so much to all the chiefs. We're here together, different nations, different peoples, and we're building, and we're literally saying, fuck this fucking state that has killed so many of us. And I want to say, and I want to really appreciate Black Hammer. I'm a part of Black Hammer, so I'm appreciating myself as well. But Black Hammer, all the Black Hammers out there, the leaders out there, Secretary General, Commander-in-Chief Ghazi, Chief Ina, I would really appreciate all of you for literally giving us this practice in self-determination that I've literally never felt before. And it's really, really powerful, and it's really won me to this organization. But one last call for donations. If anybody has them, yeah, bring them in. If you want to pledge $5 right now, if you want to pledge $1 is an entry still. If you want to pledge $1, I'm okay with that. I will take that. But yes, if we can do that, that would be awesome. Hashtag Build Hammer City. Anybody out there who wants to give a couple dollars, we'll go with 3 more donations. 3 more donations before we close off, of any kind. 3 more donations. We just need 3 of you to donate $1, 3 of you to donate $5, 1 of you to donate $1, the rest of you to donate 100. Who knows? Any of it, all of it. But if anybody could just pledge, let us know before we can close off. Before we see all of this happening, we really need your guys' solidarity, and we need you guys to build with us. There we go. Land back. Comrade Shabani, thank you so much. We will make sure to put you in that raffle. Who knows? Maybe you're the one to get the shirt or the mug that everybody wants. We need 2 more. We need 2 more, and we're not going to move it. Oh, there we go. There we go. We got a Comrade Rico. Thank you so much. Yes, 1 entry. We love it. Dante, $20. Thank you. Comrade Dante, Comrade Ren, Comrade Kaya, yes. Ain't got paid yet. That's okay. That's okay. We take it all. $1, $5, all of it. We got Comrade Leslie, yes, $20. Thank you so much. Secretary of the South Sandu, thank you so much. Indudisi, thank you so much. We got 10. Tell your family and friends. Show them this live afterwards. It's going to stay on Facebook. Thank you so much, everyone. We appreciate you guys all so fucking much. We will let you know who the winners of the raffle are. But to close us off, to adjourn it, just to give those closing words, we give it off to Secretary General Land Back.
Land back, y'all. Land back. First of all, Lord, I just want to appreciate all the chiefs that y'all see on the screen right here. Y'all are looking at some extremely powerful indigenous chiefs who are putting in their everything, who are giving in their all to get their land back and get their people free. And I'm honored to be a part of the organization that allows for me, an African revolutionary, to express my deepest level of solidarity to the colonized people of Turtle Island by fighting to get them their land back here on Turtle Island. Like that means the world to me. So I really want to appreciate y'all as the indigenous chiefs for giving us other colonized people the opportunity to help y'all destroy colonialism. Because we know that by destroying it here, we're destroying it everywhere. So that's the first thing I gotta say. I just want to appreciate y'all because y'all put in work. Second of all, I just want to say y'all keep them donations coming. Keep on popping those, pledges. If you ain't get paid, you ain't got that check right now, you can do it on Friday. Do it then. Pledge in the comments. But we need the community support. We need the support of all colonized people because we know that with the support of the masses, nothing is impossible. Nothing is important. We are building a city, a liberated city with no white people, no rent, no coronavirus, and no police. You are free to come as a colonized people, as a colonized person. So please speak to your family, talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, talk to strangers on the street, talk to anybody and everybody about this amazing liberation that's going on because we're freeing the land. And that's what y'all need to do. Y'all need to bring the good word to the people because we building a whole new world. White power is dying. I know y'all see it every day. There are more people on unemployment than there have ever been before. Record levels of houselessness. People are getting evicted starting last Saturday. So we are really at the deepest crisis of imperialism that we have witnessed in, living memory. So if you want to be on the right side of history, or if you want to be on the winning side of history, if you want to be on the side of history that gives people hope, like that we have in this room and that we have in this organization, because we know we're building a city, and at the end of that day, our people are going to be free, and my kids are going to grow up liberated and learning about colonialism in a textbook. That's what I know because of leadership like these indigenous chiefs right here, because of a revolutionary organization like the Black Hammer organization, because of the fact that we are building a city. So if you're not a member and you colonize and you're trying to get free, you need to join the winning team and join the Black Hammer organization at blackhammer.org/join. If you're already a member and you're trying to help out with, building this city, join the campaigns committee and just, talk to the people, y'all. Everybody want to know about what we doing out here. Like, for real. Like, people are excited to know. So don't feel shy to bring them the good word. Because when you tell them you build in a city that's liberated, they're going to be like, what? Word? Where? How do I get there? That's always what they ask. That's what they ask me. So I'm pretty sure that's what they're going to be asking you. But with that, y'all, land back, Black power, land back to all indigenous people. I really appreciate y'all. I appreciate this organization. God, Black power. And donations still, pouring in. People talking about $10 here.
They be saying $50 there, $10 here. It's going until 12 at midnight. So if you're watching this afterwards and it's not live, you can still donate.
Yo, I shout out my fam right now. Because when I show them this, I want them to be like, yo, I shout you out. Like,
bro, my mom, love you, mom.
for real, yo. Shout out Sarah, shout out Marcelo, who's making some dirty beats.